who end up voting for Republican anyway. If every single black man in America who voted for Trump went and voted for Joe Biden this time, it ain't going to change much.
I don't think
but a large, I'm telling you, even unless you look at a place like Georgia, right, which is still a very, very small margin, but most of those black men, it's not going to end up making a difference. But if we look at Latino men and we look at Asian men, that's where the difference is.
It's so gross, isn't it? Isn't it gross that they just treat people like this? It's like they treat people like trading cards. And again, hey, it's like, hey, let's forget the blacks. Let's go after the Hispanics. Yeah, all right, perfect. Forget the blacks. We're not going to win the blacks. Let's go after the Hispanics and the Asians, too. We forget about the Asians. Like, what are you talking about? It's ridiculous. Can we just talk about things like that, that are universal to all of us? Jeez, it's like disgusting. And they're all sitting around like, yeah. How many blacks do we need to win? Well, I don't know. Only enough to win. Then we forget the rest of them. We're like, what on earth? And like, I get it's politics. Like, I get it's politics. And this is how elections are won, right? If you talk to political scientists and all this, they cobble it all together. They got the spreadsheets and the charts. And, it probably works, honestly. It probably works. But it's just gross to even think about it that way. It's like, why don't we have a universal platform, right? We want sound currency, secure borders, common values like free speech and due process under the law, fair elections, right? It's not complicated. No more wars so we can have more investments in our own communities rather than hundreds of billions elsewhere. It's like, you don't have to talk about all the different colors. Then you add another layer. Okay, well, what about the gay blacks? What about the Asian lesbians? What the heck are you talking about? Let's just talk as what is good for humanity. What are the conditions that create context for success? Because it is not complicated, right? And when you do it this way, you got to promise and deliver things to all these different microgroups, all these different.
That's where the focus needs to be. The Democrats have to have a pivot to different kinds of people and stop talking to folks who are 55, 60 years old who listen to what old rapper has to say because their votes are.
How do we get more blacks? How do we get more Hispanics? How do we get more Asians? How do we get, more anti-Trump whites or whatever? And then they just go out, it's like a marketing campaign, and they just go out and craft their message to go get that demographic, to go get them to vote. And it's interesting anyways. It's kind of gross language, but it's interesting, right? Kind of forget about the blacks, okay? I guess we're going to focus on more of the Hispanics that they are bringing in by the boatloads every single day. And here is a clip from Speaker Mike Johnson talking about the invasion that's happening. This is Mayorkas, who was sitting there, and when asked about Lake and Riley, you see him look down at his notes to try to figure out what to say about it because he doesn't know anything.
A few thoughts. First, Margaret, first and foremost, an absolute tragedy, and our hearts break for and our prayers are with the family, number one. Number two, and importantly, as a prosecutor, having prosecuted violent crime and other crimes for 12 years, one individual is responsible for the murder, and that is the murderer.
Okay. It's also you, buddy, for letting people in who are murdering our citizens. It's not complicated. He gets asked about this over from CNN. She says, she's talking about Biden. So this guy was making the rounds all over the place. Mayorkas was out trying, no, border's fine. We care about dead Americans. But the murderer did it, not me. How's Joe Biden's competency, Alejandro?
Did a whole thing about Joe Biden's age. Do you want to have a real statement about it, about what you witnessed?
They should spend a bit of time with Joe Biden, like I have done. Let me share something with you. I prepare a lot for meetings with him and engagements with him because he's remarkably detail-oriented, probing, and operationally focused.
Oh, gosh, no one believes that, Alejandro. No one believes it. The whole administration is kind of just like a facade. Here's Kamala giving a speech.
And yet today, extremists passed book bans in this year of our Lord 2024. While they also try to erase, overlook, and rewrite the ugly parts of our past. Fundamental freedoms under assault.
Like what?
The freedom to vote.
What?
The freedom
We don't have a vote anymore, Kamala.
from fear, violence, and harm, the freedom to learn, the freedom to control one's own body, and the freedom to just simply be.
What are you talking about? Your government was the one who was mandating all sorts of things to, regularly. Freedom to let us be. I think she just says stuff, whatever's top of mind. It's not even part of a cohesive philosophy. I don't know what she's talking about. All right, my friends. Now, this is what they're going to try to do. Okay, Swalwell, who made Bang Bang with Bing Fang, a Chinese spy some time ago, he is saying that their messaging is just bad. That if they just speak a little bit more clearly and they stop focusing on so much cerebralness, just say, you're doing better than you were under Trump. People will get it apparently, and they'll start voting for Kamala and Joe.
What is wrong here? What is the disconnect that people think that Joe Biden is presiding over the worst economy in a decade?
What a great question. Oh, thank you for asking that, former RNC.
Our economy is a comeback story. We've got to start telling that story, Michael. Democrats, I think, when it comes to messaging, we're at our worst when we try and speak to the head and we try and get all cerebral and we talk about the numbers and
because the people are too stupid.
That doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything to the average American. So stop trying to explain it intelligently. Well, here's the problem. No, it's transitory. The inflation's transitory. You guys shut up. No, it's not. Everything is more expensive. They know it. We know it. They tell us that we don't know it. They keep lying to us and everything, right? They had a bunch of problems during the pandemic with their narratives. They had a bunch of problems with the border. They keep telling us the border's safe and secure. It's not chaotic. Wrong. We can see it. They keep telling us that Ukraine's going to
wrong. Yeah, according to Swalwell, we're too stupid to understand the message.
Then we're supposed to turn around and believe them when the GDP numbers come out, or the employment numbers come out, or CPI comes out. Nobody does. Everybody goes, these are as fake as everything else. These are as fake as your secure border, and as fake as your Ukraine victory. It's all nonsense. And now people are starting to see it. Here is what Marco Rubio, remember Rubio? It's Rubio! He was showing up on Fox. Here's what he said yesterday.
Tell Americans about what the realistic path forward is on the border.
Well, the realistic path forward, if we want to end this crisis, begins by Joe Biden reversing the executive orders that he made. Every single one of them was designed to reverse a Trump policy. All those executive orders that are basically, for the first time in American history, we have a president who will not detain the people who enter this country illegally. Look, the immigration system in America is complicated, but our laws are pretty straightforward. It defines who's allowed to be in the country, and it says if you're here illegally, you should be detained through removal. And we used to have exceptions to that, but narrow exceptions, but the majority of people were detained. Now the reverse is happening. Now the exceptions have become the rule. Today, if you enter the United States illegally, you are going to be released. Your chances of being released into the country very quickly are between 85 and 90%, okay? People know this. The word spreads. They come from all over the world now. There are 7.2 million people in this country that have entered over the last 3 years that are here illegally at this moment, entering through different methods and various ways that they've gotten here. That's an unsustainable thing, and all of that was driven by these changes. You can see it in the numbers beginning in January of 2021 when Joe Biden entered the White House. He needs to reverse and go back to the policies.
Who's the number 88?
When we didn't have these.
I don't do NASCAR anymore.
A lot of people, and it's really hard to hide that and to use
Thor Sport Racing.
Said, their charisma and their charm to pull the wool over our eyes for another, election cycle. We all see it. Here's Byron Donalds. He came out. He said, don't talk to us about bipartisanship and all this stuff. We already had a plan. We had a border plan a long time ago, but the Democrats didn't want anything to do with it.
House Republicans passed H.R. 2. Chuck Schumer did nothing with that bill. Never came up for a debate.
Why not?
The Senate never came to the House and said, you know what, let's work together in a bipartisan fashion based upon what the House has passed, and let's see where we can meet in the middle. You had Senate Republicans, Senate Democrats go into a smoke-filled room. They created a terrible deal. And when the elements of this deal started being leaked out early, the 5,000 entrants per day, the fact that Joe Biden will be able to have waiver authority over all the provisions, House Republicans started signaling very early, led by Speaker Johnson, that we did not support that.
Oh, it's a truck. It's a racing truck.
Came out and everybody carried it, then everybody rejected it. Even Mitch McConnell.
J-skis.
So it was a
Door Sport Racing.
The Democrats.
And it was so stupid that the Republicans even played that game, like Langford and those guys got totally rolled. Because now the Democrats say the Republicans killed the deal. Like, that's their new talking point. The Republicans
Matt
killed the
Crafton.
deal. The Republicans killed the deal. But why did the Republicans even play ball in the first place to call it a bipartisan deal with that other senator from like Connecticut or something? You know, it's ridiculous. So they took this issue, like
there
that
it is,
was clearly on the Democrats' plate. They like split it. We'll take some of that responsibility, idiots. So the Republicans already had a bill in the House. The Republicans in the Senate really goofed up because they're terrible politicians. And so this is the right way forward.
The worst kind of politics, because Joe Biden is the one who broke our southern border. Those are his executive orders when he came into the White House. These are the 10 million people who've come in under his watch, and he refuses to lift a finger. Don't talk about bipartisanship when the Senate Democrats would never even talk to House Republicans about what are the solutions. Because if there is going to be a compromise to be found, it is a negotiation between Senate Democrats and House Republicans. Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden do not want to have that conversation.
Man, he's good. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the senators didn't get that. Like Langford. I'm going to work with you. Ridiculous. So I saw another poll. Apparently Byron Donalds is looking pretty good for governor out there in Florida, which is interesting. All right, let's see who is here, my friends. Byron for VP. That's not a bad pick on that one. I think he can do a really, really good job. What's up, my beautiful friends? Let's see who is joining us in the house. King Ginger says that too. I'd take Donalds as VP. I think that's not a bad pick. He could do very well, I think. Coming up next, tells it all. Bodie says, gee, let's go after Latinos and Asians. Oh, you mean the illegal aliens that you brought in? Yeah, what's up? KB says, I like Donalds. Donald and Donalds. Oh, that's a good combo. Donald and Donalds. We got this one from Crash. Says, we are a constitutional republic and not a democracy. Acton commented on democracy. Says, Americans dreaded democracy. Drive their constitution. Monopolizes and concentrates power. Democracy is disregard for morality. Acton Burke, who was influenced John Locke, those three rolling over their graves as they view Schumer, McConnell, and Nancy in action. Yeah, those are great philosophers there. Edmund Burke was probably one of my most favorite philosophers when I was in political science and law school. I liked his concept of, conservatism and this social fabric. There are these threads, all of us have virtues and values, and we act them out in our lives, and if they're intertwined, so to speak, then you have this.
Is that the moon?
Fabric?
What am I seeing?
Woven into society. I think it's very important when you start to break
What's
down
that white
social
spot?
fabric,
Is that my? Oh, it must be on my windshield.
Then you start to evaporate your society, and that's where we're at right now. Now, I also agree with you, Crash. Right? I think democracy has been thrown around a lot.
Oh, it's gone.
It's not what we are technically.
No, it's coming back.
It's been this idea that it's ruled through the representative form. But there are many problems with democracy.
Hey, JC.
Alexis de Tocqueville, when he came over and studied America, I think he wrote a book called Democracy in America. Is that the name of it? But it was the idea being democracy can be very dangerous because you risk establishing the tyranny of the majority, right? The majority can just continue to vote themselves a raise, which is what's happening right now. Everybody gets power and they vote themselves a raise. They vote themselves a nicer salary. They vote themselves at the expense of the public treasury. That's us. And so we all get ripped off by our bureaucratic corrosion. because they just keep voting.
Heading to Monroe.
JC,
We got
what's
about
up,
30
says,
minutes.
I'm in Georgia this week. You hanging out with Fanny? My unit gave me the opportunity to get security plus certification. I only arrived yesterday, so I'm still adjusting to traveling into the future by 3 whole hours. So far, it's still a beautiful morning for a few more minutes. Good to see you, JC. Yeah, Georgia's a place. I wonder where you're at. You in Fulton County? You gonna go say hi to Fanny and Nathan? Go tell them we said hello, JC. Go say we said hi. Safe travels, my friend. Hopefully you're having a beautiful day there. SM Woodward says, what I don't fully understand is this split with the Democrats, where half say Biden is doing great, the other half sees his numbers tanking. This late in the campaign cycle, it almost seems too late to replace Biden as the candidate. I know they can at the convention, but it still seems too late. I sort of agree with that. You know, the longer it goes, the harder it's going to be. Absent some really good reason, you know, like he is, like an episode happens or something, you know. But yeah, the clock keeps ticking, man. We're inching closer and closer to the election. It's not that far away now, you know, and the clock is going to continue to count down. So it's going to be hard to swap him out because they're going to, you know, there's going to be a lot of people, I think, that might have skepticism about that. Like there is a contingent of the Biden people, as you mentioned, SM, that are clearly like in love with Biden. Like he's great. He's a small percentage, I would say, but still a pretty big number. So if you swap him out, you know, they may be skeptical. Like it's going to cause an engagement and an enthusiasm problem. Swap him out, I think, unless they can bring in somebody that's like a rock star. You know, like they brought in like an Oprah or something. You know, she might be able to, or like a Michelle Obama maybe, and shove her in there. Is there enough? Can they manufacture and basically astroturf enough enthusiasm to make it meaningful? Who knows? What's up? R. Hirsch says, I heard Democrats were pitching the idea to try and win the House and deem Trump ineligible due to the insurrection. I believe the new House members get inaugurated before the president does, so I guess it's possible. I did see that. Yeah, I saw there was a headline that they were going to insurrect Congress. That was like they were planning on it. I think The Atlantic wrote a piece on that. Yeah, so win the House and just don't certify Trump because he's an insurrectionist. And they'll say, well, we're Congress, and so we can do it. We'll see. Yeah, it's an interesting idea, Art. The Midwest Express, what's up? Says, great day off. Joining us, the Midwest Express. And what a great picture that one is. You and that puppy out there hiking around. Amazing. Says, keep up the amazing work, young man. Thank you, the Midwest Express. Thank you for that. Thanks for being a member, and thanks for joining us. And I hope you have a great day, too. It was a great day, a great way to start our Monday, my friends, with the Trump opinion coming out. And we'll read through the full thing. It does look like there's some technical stuff there, but we'll read through the full thing here in just a bit. We come back here on the show. Object Class Cater. We're 2/3 of the way to a baby, almost a new baby in the house. A member for 6 months. It's almost half a year too there. It is half a year. Object Class Cater. Thanks for being a member, man. Good to have you here. Very appreciative of it. Essential Bites is here. Says now Griswold has to go. She cannot be trusted given the vitriol exhibited. She has prejudiced herself. How can she be trusted? It's a great question. Yeah, I'm with you on that. You know, her, Jocelyn, they cannot be trusted to run fair elections. Shenna Bellows, at all. I think that they have proven themselves to be extremely biased. So much so that they just got overturned by the Supreme Court 9-0. Like, that's how obvious it is. But they tried to do it anyways. They took it all the way up to the Supreme Court. They're going to be counting votes, making decisions on signatures, all the things. What's up, Sherry D? Says Phil Holloway on X posted that the Georgia Senate Committee subpoenaed Ashley on 3/6. It's going to be broadcast live. Great show. Oh, man. So we got... On the 6th, we've got Ashley Merchant testifying at the Georgia Senate. Then on the 7th, we've got the actual Fulton County complaint or council meeting, and there's 2 Fanny complaints. It's going to be great. This is good, actually. I mean, Fanny's going to be in big trouble because this is not the courtroom, okay? Like, Ashley just talk about whatever she wants, whatever the Senate wants. It's a Senate inquiry. So, yeah, here's what I know, and you're not going to have a little, Adam Abate Objection, 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 objection privilege. You're not going to have that there. Ashley's just going to say, yeah, here's everything. It's like a buffet. Here you go. Take a look at it all. It's going to be just. You want another one? Here's another one. Here's another text message. Here's another one. Here's another one. And it's just going to be like a big feast. It's going to be great. And this is going to be good because this is going to put some pressure on McAfee to come to the right decision. Right? This is going to get a ton of publicity. Like the timing on this is perfect. What's up, Big Papi?
Hey, Joko.
A membo for 3 months. We're 1/3 of the way to a baby. Yahoo! Says Big Papi.
Welcome, butter.
Thank you, Big Papi. Big Papi. Oh man, that's funny. Is that a Seinfeld reference? Is there a Seinfeld in there? Was it Big Papi? I know there was Papi. Was it the bagel guy? Or the pizza guy, the restaurant guy? Anyways. Pritchie says that's the first one down, just immunity now. That will go the same way considering the comments on Congress. That makes Jackie Boy go away. Yeah, and I think that there is some reading, you know, I think trying to zero on like, again, the principle remains the same, that the feds don't want you stepping all over their elections. So if Danny's doing it, Jack Smith's doing it, it now, you know, Jack Smith's a little different because it's a federal investigation. But the consequence is the same, right? It's going to wreck the electoral process, and they're not interested in doing that. And they said that today by 9-0. Good stuff. We got this one from Essential Bites. Okay, so Nikki is now known as Swamp Donkey, LMAO. The only primary she's won is in D.C. Yeah, she won D.C. And there was some wild votes on that. Like Trump won like less than 1,000 votes or something. Like, it was crazy. And it's perfect. I mean, it's exactly who she is. So no wonder she won there. Not even a surprise. If she's going to win anything, that's the one for her to win. Crisis at the Border says Crazy Eyes knew it wasn't going to pass, but it was embarrassing. I don't know. I mean, I think she wanted it to pass. I think Ludwig, you know, they're so TDS'd out that they can't even recognize, I think, reality right in front of them when it hits them in the face. So, hey, we got some more donuts. Thank you, guys. What's up, Glocky's here. It says...
Hey, unindoctrinated.
There we go. Okay, so we saw that one. Here's one from Glocky. Yeah, there it is. Speaking of this, but in a city of 700,000, Trump got 676 votes in the GOP primary. Tough jury pool. Yeah, I saw this one. I think I saved this. Yeah, so how is Trump going to win anything in D.C.? It's not right. He won't at all. It's not appropriate. NY says, Rob, there is a copium theory that a newly Democrat majority Congress can refuse to count the electoral votes of Trump due to the insurrection. They forgot about the Electoral Count Act they passed in response to J6, mandating that Congress count the votes and the VP pick the winner with the most votes. Yeah, they'll try to probably insurrect and then say that they're just for doing it. Could you imagine that? The American people elect him and then they change the rules to what they say he did.
I got a busy day today, so it probably won't be a desktop stream. I got a ton of stuff I got to do when I get in there.
The Republicans need to lawyer up. It's been happening in America.
I may do one later tonight at the plant, though, but
I think you're right.
I don't think there's going to be a desktop stream.
The Solicitor General
from work anyway
is a pretty eye-opening take on what SCOTUS potentially set up in November. Said it's a big win for Trump, but potential a huge landmine. Court says Congress must enforce, but then notes Congress has enforced through its power of judge elections. Barely a week ago, House Democrats threatened to use that power to declare Trump ineligible. The 4 concurring judges all seem to say the court's opinion is requiring affirmative legislation, but the controlling opinion never seems to expressly say that. That means there's a real chance of a huge crisis where Trump wins in November, as the polls are currently projecting, but Dems take the House and refuse to count the electoral votes in the red states, as they promised just a week ago. Let's see him do it. Let's see what happens. Right? They're going to do exactly what they said Trump was intending to do. But he's not stealing an election. They would actually do it, of course. Now, Chubby says Crazy Eyes definitely needs to be recused from the counting, especially since she clearly refuses to accept the SCOTUS rule. SCOTUS ruling, says Glocky, isn't the win that people think it is. These judges, lawyers, and the secretaries of states are still here, and they're still in charge of the elections and the lawsuits that are ruling over the elections. It says, based on what was just ruled on in Arizona, I don't think this is a parody. Ballot drop boxes have now been installed at the border wall. So when you come in illegally, just vote for Biden right there. Super easy. Thanks, Glocky. Spud says, if this is actually Obama's third term, wouldn't it violate the 22nd Amendment and everything Joe put forth as unconstitutional? If it really was, but we can't say that it is, because technically Joe is the president. Rocky says, the SCOTUS decision was expected and predictable and not the point. The lawfare point, at least in large part, the process, not the results. It's the journey, not the destination. Says, I'll take the win, though, for what it's worth. Beggars can't be choosers, as they say. Yeah, it's a great comment, Rocky. It's like, we're happy we got here. We're happy this is the end game, but we're not happy that we had to go on this journey to get here, because we already knew that this was the outcome. But we had some insane, anti-American, anti-democratic, anti-Republican individuals try to change the rules. And they would have done it if they could have gotten away with it.
I did some shooting with my Berna over the weekend. I recorded it. If I get time today, I will edit that and upload it, though.
Just like I predicted on Verdict with Ted Cruz.
And a little bit of flying with my cheap little drone. Couldn't get the camera to work on it, though.
Just like I predicted on Verdict. You would have known his predictions if you would just subscribe and somebody would resubscribe.
So I just got me recording myself flying it and it buzzing around in front of me. It was so windy yesterday too that I really didn't even go that high with it, because it was like I was having to constantly adjust for the wind.
Sounds about right. Neurodivergence.
It's not a nice one like
lower than 360 to the video player.
Like Midwest has.
720 play 360 seems about 80%. This is only when locals is lagging, which seems to every time you stream. Viva has his go down to 144. Not the best video, but at least it works when locals are slow. I don't think I can do that. I think it's a locals platform thing. I don't remember me having an option on that, or I don't think I can change anything like that. That's like talking about the video resolution, like when it's playing. I don't think I have a setting to do that. I'll take a look, but I don't think I have a setting.
Yeah, your streaming resolution. You can adjust it.
Says,
use
and you let a
RTMP.
lawbreaker, quote, newcomer into the company, and he killed a citizen. What kind of prosecutor lets someone out on bail with a trial date 8 years from now? Huh, Alejandro? NY says, Senator Rubio is a national security. I like it. He is lending his super Dumbo ears to eavesdrop on Russia. Yeah, Rubio's ears, they're pretty sizable. He could probably start his own ham radio with that. Just, press CQ coming in, CQ.
Lane closures begin on the 6th. Oh, great. We'll be going the other way again.
There are problems in Ukraine. No, I knew it. All right. So, yeah, I think that could probably happen. Jesser Bob says, Donald.
I like the other way anyway. It's more relaxing drive. I don't have to worry about this fucking freeway bullshit
Yeah, it's not a bad
as much.
Donald and Donald.
Cut across the county rather than...
Attorneys at law. Presidents at law.
I mean, this way is generally faster, but if they're going to start lane closures already,
because he's also from Florida. I've seen this.
it's probably for the part that they haven't done yet. I mean, this part obviously is new, but
and I was wondering if there's a way to get around that.
it's the reason we had all those closures last year.
A rhino voted in.
But then it stops up here, right?
What's up, Merms?
Becomes shit again right before I exit.
I just want to say that I enjoy listening to you. Thank you, Merms. I enjoy it. Thank you, and also thank you to whoever gave birth to me last Friday. I appreciate the gift membership. Welcome aboard. How funny, Merms. Thank you for the nice donation. Thanks for checking it out, for being a member. Shout out to the person who gave Merms the memo. Glad to have you. And are you hailing in from the UK? Is that what it is? Good to see you, Merms. And this one, Tara. What's up, Tara? Says the idea they won't count electoral votes is another scam. They changed the act to make the VP role ceremonial, removing the actual ability that Pence had. Yeah, and they charge people with crimes. Like, well, Pence couldn't do any of that. Well, then why'd you change the rules? Because it looks like he could do it. Thank you, Tara. Yeah,
let's let this truck by me first before I go around this fucking semi
that they said
flying.
Okay, my friends, one final refresh, and then we will leave it there on the house.
All right, I'm gonna see if Russell Brand's streaming yet.
Our Hit Hirsch says, I heard Democrats pitching the idea in the House. Yeah, for the insurrection stuff. Misty says Trump is speaking at 12:30 Eastern time at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, that's 20 minutes from now. Crash says the wheelman driving the getaway car is guilty of murder too, as well as the bank robbery. Mayorkas is complicit as the triggerman who executed the plan to open up the border. 9-0, suck it up, Buttercup. That's why we got to defund the police. So suck it up, America. JC says, I'm in Fort Eisenhower in Augusta. It used to be called Fort Gordon last year due to the DoD's initiative to rename military bases named after Confederate soldiers. The base was established and named in 1941.
Well, it's not Fort Gordon anymore either? Fort Eisenhower, oh my God.
Coming to a new base, it turns out it's just a whitewash. They just whitewashed the old one. They renamed Fort Eisenhower? Oh, it used to be called Fort Gordon. Okay. Yeah, because of those racist Confederates. Yes, you know, all their statues have to come down, and so on. Never-ending battle over there. And so, my friends, it's a beautiful morning. Let's us leave it there. Trump is going to be speaking in about 20 minutes, so go check that out. I'm sure it's going to be.
All right, let's see if we'll catch the end of Crowder. Nope, it's over with. I just missed it. Said they were still live, but yeah, it's not. Hey, Choppa. What's up, buddy?
Jan 6 will resolve the question of the former president's ability to run for office nationwide. Now, I suppose because Nikki Haley's got herself a pipsqueak victory over in Washington, D.C., as Vivek said, amidst the dwellers of the swamp, it's no reason to have any renewed enthusiasm that establishment candidates may prevail. Remember, here on this channel, we are beyond partisan argument, believing that new measures of decentralization are urgently required across the world for us to be able to meaningfully oppose the elites. Certainly, I understand why you see Trump as a representative of that class, because he agitates in extremis those denizens of the legacy media. Here are MSNBC blindly panicking about Trump's gaffes. And isn't it curious that on one hand we're talking about escalating war, we're talking about a military-industrial complex that appears to be able to puppet global systems through endless conflict, and yet when it comes to the political discourse, there's a sort of a contretemps based on whether or not the two candidates for the presidency have got good memories. Let's have a look at MSNBC's reporting on Trump. What was it? He did say something wrong, didn't he? He said, oh, Obama is, you know, he mistook Biden for Obama. But I know what you lot are going to start saying in the chat. I know what you're going to say. You're going to start saying that Biden was Obama's third term. Aren't you? Let's have a look at what MSNBC said.
Donald Trump was on the campaign trail this week in North Carolina and Virginia. And the guy just kept getting confused. Look at this.
Well, they're actually really pleased about that, aren't they? Like, you see Mike is pleased. Joe, I've never seen him so elevated. But what's interesting is they've tried to use January 6th as a weapon. And now it's been revealed that many of the people incarcerated around Jan 6 that was incorrect. They were incarcerated incorrectly and unduly. They've tried taking him off the ballot box. They're trying to find various means to impede Trump, but the Supreme Court ruling and the deferment of any involvement in the Jan 6th event means that it's unlikely to take place before the election. So now they're resorting to saying like he's demented or forgetful. They found themselves right in the middle of a Joe Biden glass house, wildly throwing stones. It doesn't seem right to me that this conversation has become about sort of gaffes and memories. We've always said, when we're pointing out Joe Biden's almost endless errors, it's not really the key issue. It's just an odd indication that this guy surely cannot be heading all these institutions. substance. In the Trump administration, it seemed that it was very popular to use amphetamines. Under the Biden administration, someone in that family is bringing a lot of the naughty marching powder, the white mischief, right into the corridors of power.
In Venezuela, did you just see Maduro? Venezuela, it's unbelievable. This is the greatest movement in the history of our country, maybe in the history of any country. Even Argentina, they went MAGA. You know Argentina, a great guy. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
I don't even. What happened? What happened there? Charlie Sykes. We see it more and more. He gets in the middle of sentences. He's reading teleprompters, and his mind still blanks out. Nikki.
At this stage, these kind of criticisms merely serve to expose the lack of impartiality at the heart of the legacy media. If they'd been doing items like this for the last 6 months to 12 months about Joe Biden's relentless gaffery, then you'd sense a degree of objectivity. But what we have here is partisanship, and what we're trying to offer you on this channel is respect for your opinion and view, your allegiances and your tribal affiliations, whatever they may be, believing in our individual sovereignty and our right to run our own communities more than any particular ideology, particularly when these ideologies so plainly appear to have been co-opted by globalist interests. Here's John Kirby rather bashfully defending Joe Biden.
When the president said airdropping to Ukraine twice, he meant Gaza, correct? He just misspoke.
He was referring to Gaza.
Yeah, that's right, Gaza. I'm sorry that he got a little bit muddled up there.
Oh wow, this light's actually activated now.
Tricky, isn't it? Because that's a pretty
Uselessly.
issue, which seems to be being exorcised from many of the legacy media's news.
I'd have waited till like 420 to do it, because it's going to be nuts on this road on 420.
Firstly, touch on Nikki Haley's victory in Washington. Let me know in the chat. Does that mean that her campaign could be salvaged? Do you think that the establishment will get one of their own in A, Y, or N in the Rumble chat? Let me know. Hard word to say, says Secretary Gaza.
Later, JC.
I found it pretty easy to say, sometimes difficult to contemplate. Here's Vivek's response to Nikki Haley prevailing in DC. He says, the one primary she wins is where the swamp is the electorate. She'd really like to thank her core constituency of defense contractors, overpaid consultants, permanent political class. You know Trump's going to love having Vivek on team with little posts like that. Do you think that this is an indication that Nikki Haley could win the Republican nomination, or has that ship sailed? According to this poll, Donald Trump is more successful than ever before, certainly more popular than ever before with the people polled in that instance. Hey, listen, you want one of these mugs, you can get one. If you like this Stay Free mug, we're going to post it. You automatically get 25% off all week when you add it to your basket. And if that ain't enough to make you hysterical, you should sit down and watch The View, because this is fascinating from Whoopi Goldberg as they start to realize that the lawfare against Trump is unlikely to succeed. You're beginning to see the revelation of some extraordinary emotion. There's one thing in particular that Whoopi Goldberg says here that really fascinates me. Firstly, she said that, that Biden is the current incumbent and could jail all Republicans if he wanted to. That's an astonishing thing to say, but she kind of retracts that and backtracks that and makes it clear that she's only using that as a sort of a rhetorical device. But what she also says is, all debt could be cancelled. Now, what I think is exposed, even in this little tirade on daytime TV, is the fact that we have narrowed our parameters of what we expect from politics to such a low bandwidth that the idea that debt cancellation or the radical transition of society or greater empowerment of your personal sovereignty and localized democracy is beyond the scope of our thinking. But debt cancellation, can you guys remember when debt was cancelled on a pretty large scale? Do you remember as far back as 2008 when, having campaigned on hope and change, Barack Obama bailed out the banks on an unprecedented scale when ordinary Americans could have been supported? And of course, what you'll be told is he had to do that. He had no choice but to do that. And if he had no choice at all, What democracy is there? Because if democracy's not about choice, it ain't about much. Let's have a look at Whoopi Goldberg. Remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, we'll be available here for another 10 minutes. Then we've got some amazing content coming up about excess deaths. We'll be covering George Galloway's victory here in the UK and how it's a threat to the uni party in our country. And if truly we are living under the auspices of a new global establishment, figures that buck the trends of national politics are who we have to look to create new opposition. Let's have a look at Whoopi Goldberg now. We'll be covering George Galloway in a moment. Let me know what you're looking forward to in the chat. And hello to Ruby C. Kingler and Firegirl 2020 in the Awake and Wonder chat. Let me know what you guys thought of our Rand Paul conversation. It's up now on Locals. And remember, we've got Mike Benz coming up on the show later this week. He's a person who analyzes the deep state and its ability to censor and control global narratives in a way that is beautiful. Russell, let's hear your best American impression. I have so many impressions. Well, that is the little nasal guy. Now let's get into Whoopi Goldberg on The View.
Well, the Supreme Court won't hear oral arguments until the end of April. Now, let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything. You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president? What?
Look, she's excited by this idea. She's excited by the idea, she's about to say, jailing all Republicans, right? Have a look at how this vitriol is espoused. Now, I know Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know her. I went on The View a couple of times. I think she's a lovely human being. On this subject of politics, though, to encourage people to have such a narrow perspective, given that the show is called The View, to encourage such low horizons, doesn't seem in the right spirit. We could change so much. We could achieve so much. We can raise our expectations. This is extraordinary.
He could throw every Republican in jail.
Yeah, I mean, the audience goes to applaud that because they've been coached into applauding that kind of jingoism, is the word for it in this country. Hey, Spazatron, stop posting fart or we're going to mute them. Remember, we've got a policy on that, I think, for spamming. You have got free speech, but you don't got free spamming. So do you want us to spam someone that is repetitive on there? I think we do that already. Let me know, guys. Let me know where we stand on that.
Good. I mean, this is not a good thing because he can go. What this means is he can do anything. Yeah. He could dismiss everybody's debt. Yeah. You know, there's a whole bunch of great stuff that could happen, but let's really look at what this means. Yeah. So they're basically kicking the can.
Just briefly stopped on the idea, paused, delighted on the idea of cancelling all debt as if it's like a sort of a ridiculous proposition. You could radically order things. Politics has real power. That's the thing we forget while lost, deluged in fake tribalism that still empowers the same interests, it seems to me. We forget that we do have deep power.
Down the road, though, they're not taking up this case immediately.
Jesus.
So what's their motivation then? If we all know that they can't do what you just said because of the extreme power that a president would have, what is their motivation for not doing it right away?
Unfortunately, some people are saying the motivation is that there are certain conservative justices that have been appointed by Trump that want to help him. And because we know the end result is if this case is not resolved by the time of the election, and he, God forbid, become the president of the United States,
It's really odd, isn't it, that you, in a two-party system where you can say on television, God forbid he become the president of the United States. Look how divided that nation is. Look how clear it is that there is no genuine balance or objectivity within that field. Remember, you know where we stand.
All right, boys and gals.
Look at where Jamie,
like I said, probably aren't. I may surprise you, but
strategy to Democrats that people
I got a ton of shit I got to deal with.
Aroused.
So probably later on.
Aroused about politics.
Peace. Thanks for riding with me. Love you guys.
All arousing.
Obviously, we can't